Welcome to Directionally Correct, a Peelings podcast with Cole and Scott. Today's guest, Nathan Carter, professor of organizational behavior at Michigan State University.
Thanks to our sponsors, Lightcast. The world is full of talent data, but more data can lead to more questions, uncertainty, and stagnation as organizations sift through it to figure out what's fact from what's fiction. Lightcast's talent intelligence platform answers your most difficult workforce questions to drive meaningful business results. With more than 20 years of experience as MC in burning glass, Lightcast accelerates your work, bringing together hundreds of billions of vetted, constantly updated data points and incredible insights to drive strategic talent decisions. Your organization can tap into the deepest open repository of skills, supply, and demand data in the world to transform your hunches into a skills-based future for your organization. Lightcast's flexible solution, used by 67 of the Fortune 100, can integrate your own data, be guided by in-house talent experts, and give you the tools and confidence to explore it for yourself. To learn more, book a demo at lightcast.io. All opinions are our own and do not reflect those of any other organization.
Have you ever heard of the Annoyatron?
No, what is that?
It's like I have never bought one, but it's like a $3 investment. You can get them on Amazon. And it is a little watch battery powered electronic board that makes a beep sound at random intervals. Like you can set it for, once an
I
hour or
love it.
whatever. But it's so annoying and so random, and it's tiny, so you can just put it anywhere, and people can't find it because there's not enough like feedback to actually echolocate where this
Yeah.
thing is. So if like you really hate a coworker, just stick that right in there, like their office cue ball or something like that, or right behind their desk or something, and just drive them absolutely nuts.
I love the idea.
I'm not advocating, but I like the idea too.
I just love it because it utilizes the same behavioral techniques that gambling does of intermittent reinforcement
Uh huh.
to maximally annoy you. You know, like that's perfect. You couldn't have built it any better.
I mean, those psychological principles, they can work both ways, right?
Exactly. I think that's what they do to people in torture and stuff. I don't know.
Oh, Jesus Christ, man. I was in DC attending, I think it was a work function, but my room, and this is like only a year and a half ago, it had a cordless phone. And I mean, it was a Knights Hotel. It wasn't like from like 1997 or anything like that. It had a cordless phone in there, and the battery was dying on this thing, and I stuck it on the charger, and it's still not working. It's like just once every like 5 minutes, like beep, beep. Luckily, the room had a mini fridge. You like pop
Hmm.
open the dresser, and eventually, in the middle of the night, I took this phone and stuck it in the mini fridge and just closed it. And look, I couldn't hear it anymore, thank God. But that was the only solution I could find because, like, couldn't take the batteries out, couldn't do anything. It wasn't charging.
Your only solution was the mini fridge to either put it inside or use the mini fridge to smash it to pieces.
I never make use of the mini fridge. I'm always afraid.
I feel like that's going the way of the dodo bird. It used to be like a thing where, hotel rooms would have mini fridges with mini bars in it, and then they'd upcharge you for the mini bar stuff. That doesn't seem to exist very much anymore. I don't know. You just don't see it like you used to.
Where in Vegas they had like a full array of liquor that you could obviously
Hmm.
enjoy. I was where the hell was I? I think it was
I don't know.
in Austin. Like just more liquor than I've ever seen in my life in the room, and of course I'm sure it's just crazy prices.
I mean, it is Austin. That makes sense. Like you would be like New Orleans, Austin, Vegas, maybe Nashville, that still are kind of going with those trends.
Do you have any trips coming up?
I got a couple. I'm kind of excited about. I'm co-chairing People Analytics World in London.
Holy
Uh, with,
shit! Really?
with David Green, and so that's coming up. That'll be exciting.
That is super awesome, man. I didn't know that. Congratulations.
And it'll be the first time I've left the country since before the pandemic too. So that'll be cool.
That is cool. Have you ever been to London?
I went in high school.
Mm.
Yeah. So I imagine it's changed a lot. my wife and I were actually talking about what's cool that's new and what's cool that's like super old in London that you would want to see, you know?
You got to
I
visit
don't
like,
know.
well, I mean, like certain things. There's like kind of timeless Tower of London,
That's what
Buckingham
I mean. Like
Tower.
the things
Yeah,
that are like, ancient but awesome to see. And then like what's new school that would be cool to hit up as well. Because my understanding is the British aren't known for their food. Apologize, Brits who listen to the pod, but that's most of the vacations I go on is to eat.
you,
So
that's funny you say that because like I have no desire to. I mean, I understand people like want to go on this like culinary adventure, and that's not my
mhm.
orientation whatsoever. And the British are known for their food, just not in the way you want, right?
Yeah, yeah, I feel you on that.
I guess their signature dish is Indian food, really.
That's what I'm hearing nowadays. Actually, yeah. I mean, the legacy of the British Empire. I think the prime minister is of Indian descent as well. I
Is
believe.
he?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, it is truly an international city. It's a hub. I don't
Yeah,
really know the lineage to know how that happened.
yeah. Well,
So what are you gonna do
we
with this analytics world conference? Just kind of MC it?
yeah, it's more of an MC role. It's like a figurehead role. Nothing of importance.
Well, I think that's pretty fucking important.
Yeah, so it's cool. That's one of those things that before the new gig kind of got lined up, which was cool.
How'd you get wrapped up in that?
I've been well for a while there. I was doing a lot of stuff with the company that puts on People Analytics World is called Tucana,
Yeah.
and I co-chaired their strategic workforce planning conference last year in San Diego, and I was doing kind of some guest spots on their podcast at one point or another too, but that just kind of fell through. But we've been talking about it for a while. It just never would work out with calendars, and so this year it finally worked out, which was nice.
Awesome, man.
Yeah. What about you? What travel do you have coming up?
I'm coming to Texas. I hope to see you soon.
High five.
High five, indeed.
Maybe we'll do a live one. Maybe we won't. Who knows? Give the people what they want.
What do the people want? That's a good
Us
question.
to stop talking. I don't know. Nathan, you made it.
How's it going, guys?
What's
Good.
up,
How
my
are you?
man?
I'm feeling very modern. This is the first time I've ever used Air AirPods.
I feel that. I recently just
They're my
upgraded to.
wife's.
They're your wives sharing
Yeah.
technology.
Yeah,
Cole's got
I
the
just I like the wires. I'll lose it. I'll lose these like immediately. Like my wife is scared I will lose them during this.
Cole's got the same issue where someone's his I think it's his wife is rearranging his USB plugs on his computer.
I'm
Uh,
also, by the way. Oh, hold on one second. Sorry. I'm a forced iPhone user.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I don't want to. I would still have an Android if it weren't for my wife basically forcing me into the Apple world. But yeah, so
I'm with
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
with you too. Like I recently upgraded to a new set of AirPods, but I'm too shy to use them on an actual meeting. So like I approve your braveness definitely.
are we recording right now?
We
Yeah,
absolutely
we're
are
rolling.
recording.
Okay, sweet. Okay.
Now it gets serious.
Feel free to.
I don't want to use off color language. So
Well,
Oh,
we,
it's
we
fine.
use
It's
off
fine.
color
Yeah.
language.
all right, cool.
But you're a difficult man to reach.
I am.
If you Google Nathan Carter at Michigan State University, or you're very versatile. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. So
Were
yeah,
you
if
a
you
Heisman
Google,
candidate at one point, Nathan?
I have no clue. No clue. This is the first time that I've been aware of college football talent before other people in my life. So yeah, because it was that Nathan Carter, the running back. started here. And then one day I went to log into my travel expenses portal, and it said that I had been to South Bend, Indiana, and a lot of Big Ten places that I had not been.
Happy
And
Valley.
so,
Yeah.
yeah. And so anyway, but they wouldn't let me keep his travel budget. So, unfortunately,
That's a sly way to do it, right? Just like, yeah,
yeah,
it wasn't this Nathan Carter.
yeah. It's the running back, and they would just sign away on it. So yeah.
I think that there's like a really famous economist named like Michael J. Jordan, which seems
I
equally
think that's right.
difficult.
That's right. Well, luckily his middle name wasn't B, Michael B.
Isn't there
Jordan.
an
That would
actor
also,
named Michael B. Jordan?
yeah.
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 But yeah,
Well, I mean, two really like very common first name, very common last name. It's got to happen all the time.
yes. Yeah, I would say, yeah, but there's like got to be a year after which no one names their kid, like no one with the last name Jordan names their kid Michael, or at least very few do.
I'm seeing a lot of like Kobe's pop up now, like babies named Kobe.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, but the question is, though, are those babies people with the last name Bryant? Right? Like you couldn't do that.
Do you want to
I
do
feel
that
like
to
you
your
could have a
kid?
Kobe Carter,
You
but
know?
you can't have a Kobe Bryant, right? I'm
What if
saying
it's
Kobe
beef?
like it's beef.
Yeah, right.
I just realized like I'm pronouncing it like the beef. But yeah.
I don't know. I think I might be the only Cole Napper out there, so these are not problems I'm accustomed to.
Napper, I feel like is that an occupational name?
Maybe. I do like sleeping, so there's that.
Oh,
Because like Carter is an occupation, and in fact, this is a study I've like wanted to conduct for a long time, but basically, I don't want to waste a grad student's time with it, but is to look at occupational surnames and whether or not the like RIASEC profile would match people with that like if we have those people, they don't know what we're doing, they fill out the RIASEC, would their profile match their occupational surname? So Smith, so like what a blacksmith does or whatever, right? And so that's a little pet project I want to do, but have not.
Do you think there's like some epigenetics involved there where people, want to keep doing things of their
I
lineage?
mean, well, and also, I mean, I think it's more that like we survived by doing that for a long time, right? So like, people take on the family business. For a long time, the only person you learned to trade from was your parents.
right.
So, so anyway, but yeah, you'd obviously have to control for some, cultural differences and things like that. But occupational surnames are pretty common just about everywhere. But yeah,
I love the idea of like going to ONET, identifying the different sort of KSAs available, and then trying to
yeah,
match into their current job,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And more so, not even their current job, because they may hate their current job, right? And the question is, like, would a Carter be happier making wagons, right? Because
Oh
that's what
yeah,
the people who were named Carter, that the reason they got named that was because and then you could also like, do, because then there were like where you live type names, right? Like, so like my grandmother's maiden name was Barnhill, and that just means like they had a barn on a hill. It's at some
right.
point somebody had a barn on a hill, and so yeah, but but the occupational surnames for whatever reason fascinate me. But
I in like 80, 100 years. Oh, okay, like right now, you could say like, oh, my great grandpappy, he was a sharecropper, right? You're
right,
like, oh
right,
wow,
right,
that's really
right.
awesome. In
Yeah.
like 80 years, it's gonna be like, my great grandpappy, he was a social media influencer. It just like really
Yes.
doesn't hit the same, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think can't remember if it's Nate Bargatze, but there's some stand-up comedian that has a bit that's Like it used to be that like you'd be like, here's the one picture of like my grandparents. And now you'd be like, and then in like 100 years, it's going to be like, do you want to see 4,000 pictures of my of my
Oh,
grandmother?
absolutely.
Like there's just it's a pretty ridiculous amount of photographs we have of ourselves.
See, Scott, this is the type of heavy hitting research you get to do as a tenured professor. You know,
That's right. Well, it's the type you want to do, but can't find time to do between all your administrative meetings.
yeah, I was like, what do tenured professors do?
Well, I mean, you on some level you become like support staff, right? So you're uh, you know, I'm on the advisory committee for the department chair. I'm on committees for the university, committees for the college. And then, I mean, the nice thing is you're not just like, so I would say, so I became a full professor. And so I got tenure in what, 2016 or 17. And then I got full when I moved here in 2020. And I would say you honestly just get to do less of what you want to do. And people tell you that as you're going through, right? Like oh, enjoy it. And I mean they do this in grad school, enjoy it now, and you're like how much harder can it be, right? And like I can still remember, and I like hate this version of myself, and I never would have said it. Now I feel like some students would like say it out loud, but I would never have said this out loud. But I can remember my advice, like I would email my advisor something, and 4 or 5 days would pass, and I would go like, I mean, what could he be doing?
Of course,
You
of
know?
course.
And now I know exactly what he was doing, and it sucks. And he would have rather been reading my paper, and that's kind of the place that I'm at now, where it's like you kind of get, yeah, you're this. Basically, everybody and also, I mean, part of it too is trying to take any type of administrative burden off of tenure track faculty, right? So people who aren't tenured now, right? So, the worst type of a full professor is the one who like isn't doing the committee work and stuff like that, because that means somewhere an assistant or associate is being asked to do it, right? And so every full professor that won't do that kind of stuff, it's displaced down, and ends up trickling down to the people who still are under time pressure. But
It's like be careful what you wish for, right? Like
yeah,
everyone tells
yeah.
you to climb the ladder, get ahead, do more.
I will say academics will tell you, like, take your time, don't worry about going to full, because with full, you're not on a clock, right?
Yeah.
You can go up whenever you want. You can stay associate as long as you want. And with associate, you do take on more kind of administrative, just being in endless meetings type stuff. But full, that's when they really lay the hammer
That's really
down.
we
Yeah.
got this guy.
Yeah.
We
And
got him
you
under
and
our
you
thumb.
don't have great excuses to say no, So yeah.
You don't have plausible deniability.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's kind of like, I remember in grad school, I read a book that was like how to write a lot. And one of the best pieces of advice in it was that when you have time set aside to write, to tell people it's a meeting,
Yeah.
because they won't respect that you need to write, even though it's like all your job is writing almost, right? And so I need to figure out whatever trick that is. Whatever that translates to as full professor, I need to figure out that trick. What do I tell people to get out of some of this stuff? But yeah, because like I said, I would love to do that study for fun, but I don't know when I would do it. And like I said, I'm not gonna like have some aspiring academic or practitioner waste their time on a study about occupational surnames, right?
what I'd like to study is like how the psyop network actually works, because how I became familiar with you
Yeah.
is in 2013 or 14 I went to a IPAC conference in Atlanta and I
Oh,
met Rachel Williams Smith there,
yeah, 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 yeah.
and
He was
we
my
became.
first student,
Oh, really?
my first PhD student. Yep.
So like we stayed friendly. We kept in contact. We'd see each
Yeah,
other at
yeah,
PSYOP every year and like catch up and this sort of thing. And we were here in actually PSYOP in Seattle, and she's like, "Well, you do a bunch of network analytics here. Talk to Megan Lowry." And I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah,
so
yeah.
we started
Megan, yeah.
chatting, and she's like, "Here, I did this really cool JAP paper on causal attitude networks with Nathan
Well,
Carter."
and
I was like,
she first authored a really great Journal of Vocational Behavior paper that was more her. The JP was kind of my thing, but the JVB was about the um, interplay between counterproductive behavior and organizational citizenship behavior. And that was like a directed networks type thing where, we're looking at kind of trying to figure out cause and effects type stuff.
"Yeah,
But the JP was a much bigger undertaking. And I think if you look at it, it's like, I'm trying to remember how many authors there are on it, like 10 maybe or something. And that's just like it's a reflection of how long it took. There's also, I think, somewhere there's a date that it was submitted, and then if you look at that and the date it was published, it was a
oh."
slog. It was yeah, that was
There's so many places we could go there. Like one, the causal attitude
yeah,
networks is something that people aren't necessarily doing right now. We talk
yeah,
about it every so often on the pod. Is people are starting to creep into sort of the vernacular. I think you
yeah,
took
yeah,
it to the
yeah,
next level with like the small world analysis, et cetera. And there's a great like R tutorial in the back on how to actually perform this.
yeah.
But I- what let's talk about like the JAP. Like how do you think that it's going to be a good candidate? Do you know the editors? Are you waiting for a call for papers? How's that come about?
So I think some people take that approach. I mean, for me, it has always been just like, what do I want to study? Like, I mean, I don't think and I know people would go like, this. I wouldn't even necessarily say this is advice.
Yeah.
But for me, I've never cared at all really about journal. I mean, a little, you care to the extent that like people want to. And I mean, one of the nice things about being in a psychology department versus the management department is like you can publish in lots of different places and people will respect it as long as it's peer reviewed and it's not pay to play, and all as long as you're not doing that and it's a halfway, a reputable solid journal, no one kind of thumbs their nose at it. But you want to get, for me, getting into JP is more about the audience, that like, okay, it'll
Right.
go to the most people if it goes to JP, right? I don't hold it in any venerated esteem or anything. I kind of think that view on journals can be a little, I don't know what the word I'm looking for. There's a jadedness, I think, to starting with like what journal, and again, people I respect do start that way, but that's never what I've done. So when I started with this, it was inspired by the group of folks at the University of Amsterdam who really started this whole thing. And I mean, the Causal Attitude Network, I was, tried to be as clear as possible that like Jonas Delage was kind of the person who put that forth. And I think that
Well,
he,
can you
his,
tell us
yeah, yeah,
can you
yeah.
tell us like what it is real quick, just for our
Yeah,
listeners?
yeah. I mean, it's a very broad set of, and really all that it is, this kind of causal attitude network model, or and I think some of it's kind of like calling it a model is a little bit of a misnomer, or calling it an approach is really what it is that social, like, or sorry, not social, but just network theory writ large is so well developed mathematically that you can make really specific predictions about certain things. and it is so tried and true, and it crosses boundaries like from particle physics to like how electrical grids are composed across countries, how uh, basically things that self-organize, right?
Protein synthesis of cells,
Yeah.
all this sort of
I mean,
stuff.
there's tons of stuff, neural networks, all that stuff. I mean, that all starts with network theory, right? And and one thing that was interesting to me is like I got into this stuff and kind of didn't realize like, oh, I will end up seeing some of the names because item response theory was kind of my thing for a long time.
Mm.
And then I started realizing, oh, well, I'm seeing some of the same people, Snyder's, is it Tom Snyder? But it's Snijders. He did some stuff on IRT and I knew him from that. And then suddenly I'm seeing that, oh, he's, one of the kind of major players in like like exponential random graph models,
Mm-hmm.
ergoms. And at the end of the day, what it comes down to is explaining patterns of ones and zeros, or 0, 1, 2, 3, 4s, right? It's just explaining these matrices of patterns of responding and how they kind of how they overlap and things like that. So that to me was a really interesting aspect of it. But the way I kind of have always thought of like what I do academically is I read things other people aren't reading.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, this is
Mm-hmm.
the advantage of being in an applied field is I just read things other people aren't reading. And then
Yeah.
I kind of bring it over and say, okay, because the causal attitude network stuff started. I think Jonas Delage was doing like kind of political attitude stuff as the exemplar of how this works. But it became pretty clear to me, like, oh, this really has a lot of
Absolutely.
potential for job attitudes, and job satisfaction was kind of the obvious one. And what's really, to me, what was the most powerful thing about it was realizing, oh, like, so for example, within the causal attitude networks kind of framework, there's this, and this goes to particle physics, there's this idea of like energy, and the energy that is required to keep a system together, and that some systems are complex and require a lot of energy to hold themselves together, for that self-organization to stay where it is. And then there are ones that don't take much energy. And what was really cool to me is how consistent that was with like past attitude theory, like stuff people came up with in the 20s and 40s and 60s, and of cognitive dissonance and things like that. That it all kind of ends up saying the same thing. But what the causal attitude network approach, I think, brings is a clear mathematical an underlying mathematical formulation to what were kind of loose ideas, that you could show with experimental methods and things. Cognitive dissonance was already very well uh, already had a well laid foundation, but to recognize that this thing that works for so many other subfields, or not just subfield, but like totally different
Other
fields,
applications,
as
yeah.
soon as you start thinking through it in the context of what you're looking at, you realize, oh, like this does explain cognitive dissonance. It does, and because basically, the whole idea of cognitive dissonance is that if you start to form a belief that is inconsistent with your attitude, then like one of them's got to change. You've either got to change that belief or your attitude's got to change overall. And that's exactly what the network stuff would say, is that thinking your job is boring and bad is a lot easier than to think it's exciting and bad. And one of the two is going to end up
Yeah.
changing at some point. Otherwise, that attitude structure has to fall apart. And so, and typically I don't think that's really really an option for it to fully, fall apart. And then, you mentioned small worldness, which is, you know, went right into like, so we were kind of the first ones to say, well, like you can kind of have these like symbolic attributes and these instrumental attributes that you're looking at. And that with symbolic attributes, you would see this small world structure, which means that you can change the network by affecting a single node. And so like, one part of that network, if you affect that part of the network, you can change the whole network. And
That
so,
spillover effect is so critical, right?
oh
That
yeah,
that that's the super takeaway.
yeah. Well,
That
and then to me, it's also a takeaway that like, if you want to change attitudes toward pay and promotion structures, then you have to change the attitude object.
yeah,
You can't affect a thought or a feeling and expect the attitude to change. The object has to change. And so to me that was a really like a big moment for me of like, and I want to be clear that like I don't even think of this, I don't think of this as like I had that idea. It was like the network, that framework that Delage had kind of forwarded, that we can use this to think about attitudes. It was like it illuminated as I kept digging deeper and deeper. It was like, oh, like, that explains why this works this way, and da 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 da. So yeah,
way
but
more than like just factor analysis,
Yeah.
right?
yeah. And in fact, one of the things we show is that, like a structural equation model that predicts turnover from overall job satisfaction scores. One of the things we showed, which I think was probably the coolest part of the paper, is because as the name would imply, there is kind of a indirect, there's a capability in these type of models through kind of like so basically kind of through logic patterns, that will allow you to kind of make causal inferences with correlational data. And so one of the things we were able to show is like if you take your cross-sectional attitude network and you find what the most central item is in an attitude network, so or thought, or of course we're casting it as thoughts and feelings, but at the end of the day it's an item, right? And so if you find what thought or feeling is the most central, and by the way, feelings are usually more central, which
Mm-hmm.
is also consistent with attitude theory, that the affect is the first thing and then the cognition comes later. But
Fascinating.
the what we found was that when we would identify with our cross-sectional data, so in 2004, we use our cross-sectional data, say what's the most central item, and then we would look to see which item is capable of predicting change in all other items in a structural equation
Yeah.
model. It was all the most central items were the ones that predicted the change in the other items. And but then with with turnover, we were also able to show that the network models could do a better job of predicting turnover in the end. And so to me it was just this very like, and no one had shown that before really with data. It had always been kind of like an in theory thing. And luckily, reviewers pushed us to kind of like back that up,
Mm-hmm.
and we were able to find the data to do that, and through kind of just publicly available longitudinal data.
Yeah.
And to me that was fascinating.
I love the concept of bringing causality into social science research.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I love how one thing should be able to eventually impact a series of dominoes to make something else happen, even with our emotions.
yeah,
And I think that you have kind of crossed into new territory as a consequence. I do have something sort of random to bring up in relationship
yeah.
to them.
Oh
You
no.
guys seen this new Netflix documentary series called American Conspiracy: The Octopus Murders? Have either of you seen
I
this?
have not.
No. No,
It
not
No.
it
familiar.
is so related to what you're talking about right now in terms of the
Okay.
methodology. Who what just the version of this that's like really quick is this guy uncovers this corruption in Washington D.C. and he goes through and creates this causal network of how all these different things are linked to historical things that are also linked to make this huge conspiracy about a global cabal who's like running things behind the scenes in the world. And he has literally has like this map drawn of that's called an octopus map of all of the interconnections and how they made these things happen to get to this final state. It's fascinating and it's almost exactly what you're talking about, but it's about
Yeah.
murder.
No, that's awesome. And I mean, in fact, one of the, if you get into social network analysis, one of the biggest example data sets that people use is the Medici network in Italy. And, I mean, these are the people, they invented banking, right? So it's like, talk about a family that ended up having control in a way that, like, if you weren't a royal, people just did not have it. And so I think, yeah, no, I think that's a perfect example of like how applicable network models are to so many different facets of life at the social level, at the person level, at the, particle level, and even more macro levels. I think, I'm not a strategy person. I've never been that interested in that, but I'm sure these models have a ton that it could tell about, like how certain companies interact with other companies, and yeah, and probably also just things like mergers and acquisitions, being able to predict a merger. I would be, and there's probably your papers out there maybe
Oh
already
yeah.
showing that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
Matthew Jackson has a lot of research on this, and like one of the
okay,
biggest factors in reducing war is increasing trade between countries.
oh
You know,
yeah,
you
yeah,
create
yeah,
this network across different across the globe, really. But
yeah.
Nathan, you want to move on to the confusion matrix?
I'm down.
The confusion matrix.
Let's do a little super random. I mean, just because Cole brought up this TV show, what is your favorite guilty pleasure TV show or movie?
Okay, yeah, it's always sunny in Philadelphia. I've I've
Nice,
fallen I
nice
have
choice.
fallen asleep to that show every day of my life since like 2006. Like I have terrible sleep problems, and so I have to listen to something to go to sleep. My wife always jokes that, like, for me to go to sleep, I have to listen to people yelling at each other because it's always either been It's Always Sunny or Seinfeld. And so, but no, yeah, It's Always Sunny is definitely my, like, by far, like, if you want a quote from a specific episode, I can usually pull it. But yeah.
Uh, your issue resonates so hard with me because I have to sleep with an earbud in, and I sleep to Ancient Aliens. It's just something.
Really?
It's
I
just
can see
something
that.
calm.
I can see that. No,
It's
yeah.
calming and soothing, and
Yeah.
like it's a little
It has
talking. You
that
don't have to pay
that
attention.
that
Yeah.
ominous kind of, yeah. No, I can see that completely. Yeah, and so yeah, I think the other thing that I listen to is like World War II documentaries and stuff like.
Oh,
That's
that's
the
good
other thing I've
sleeping. That's good
fallen asleep
sleeping.
to. But yeah, it does for whatever reason. There's something about it that is like, I don't know what it is. If it's the guaranteed overstimulation, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is.
What do you got, Cole?
I don't listen to anything when I go to sleep.
Good for
But
you.
Yeah,
I am a big, or
better
at least I
health.
was at one point a big It's Always Sunny fan. So we
Yeah,
could get you some
yeah.
rum ham if you want it.
Oh, dude, yes, rum hand. Yeah, and in my group of friends, like I'm definitely the Frank, like, for sure. Like, that's the joke is, like, if everything were to fall apart, I would just become Frank potentially. But
Wild card,
but
baby.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. The
What
water
is the most
slide.
memorable concert
Uh,
you've ever attended?
Oof. Most memorable, it would be the Flaming Lips opening for Beck.
Oh
And
wow,
it was when
that'd
Beck
be a
Beck
show.
had just started. I think Sea Change was the album that had just come out. So it was a sea change for him because it was like to acoustic kind of, and he had done acoustic stuff before, but this was like more melodic and pretty songs, like kind of. And but I was definitely going for the Flaming Lips. I was a huge Flaming Lips fan. Yeah, starting with like the '90s, like the "She Don't Use Jelly" and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But then, but so I went to see the Flaming Lips, and they were unreal. It was a small theater in Cincinnati. And then, but then Beck came out and did his set solo acoustic, and then the Flaming Lips came back out as his backing band, which we did not know that that's how it would go. And so then he played some of the kind of more typical, like at the time, what was typical of Beck, like
Loser and
yeah, the Odelay,
yeah.
where
Devil's
it's at,
Haircut, this sort of thing.
yeah, Devil's Haircut, yeah, stuff like that. But yeah, so that one, yeah, and then the band I've seen the most is Ween, and some people will know Ween, but it's a
Gene and
pull.
Dean Ween.
That's right. That's Jeaner and Diener. Yeah. But
Chocolate and Cheese album. What's
I've
up?
probably seen them live. Yeah, Chocolate and Cheese. Yeah, I've probably seen them live 20 times at least. But I would say 20 to 30, somewhere in there. But yeah.
Yeah. I got to see Tom Petty right before he passed
Oh,
away. We
That'd be
didn't
a
know
good
he was
one.
going to pass away.
oh,
So, but
that's
it became more
awesome.
meaningful after it happened. So, but that was
Oh
pretty
yeah,
cool.
for sure.
Yeah.
I had a ticket to see Mitch Hedberg,
Oh,
and
yeah.
then he died
Oh, wow.
before the show. So it was like, and there is a part of you that feels awful for calling Ticketmaster and being like, I need a refund. You know what I mean?
my
The guy,
artist died on me.
the guy died. And it wasn't, back then it was like, there was no like automated, there wasn't like an
Yeah.
automated refund. There was no button anybody could push to refund everyone at the Mitch Hedberg. So it was literally like everyone had to call and request the refund. And, obviously we're giving it, but it does feel weird doing it with an artist that's just passed. But yeah, but I do wish I could have seen Mitch Hedberg. But.
I saw Nirvana, but I also saw Beck.
Really?
Right when the Loser came out and is
Yeah.
at Deep Ellum Live, or is the Bomb Factory now. But he's like 5'4". He's tiny,
Yes.
tiny person.
Yeah, he's Prince. He's the same size as Prince, basically. Yeah.
Oh my God,
Prince is a unit of measurement for sure. Yeah.
Yes, for sure. On many levels, on many dimensions, he's a unit of measurement. Yeah.
I'm like 1.3 Princes tall.
I love that.
But yeah, well, and Prince, kind of dissed
What's your body mass? Are you like
at some award ceremony?
1.7 Prince mass?
I think I'm probably body mass. I'm like 2.5 Princes. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
We're gonna get into uncomfortable Prince territory here in a second.
Yeah. The heels that Prince wore would not support my body mass.
If you want good watching, like try and find the 2007 Super Bowl halftime show. It's probably the best.
Oh, dude,
one.
yeah. No, I remember. Unreal. I watched that live. The thing I've gotten multiple converts to Prince on is he had a DVD that I used to have. I don't think I have it anymore. I don't even know if you can get it anymore. But it was Live at the Aladdin, and it was probably like 2003 or 4. And man, but I can't tell you how many people who thought they didn't like Prince that I was able to convert just showing them that DVD. Yeah.
I don't think people realize just how good of a guitar player he is.
When I was a little kid, I thought he pretended to play guitar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it was
Absolutely.
not. And then when I was in middle school or early high school, I was subscribed. I played guitar since I was young, and I subscribed to Guitar Player magazine, and they had a whole thing about him, and I was like, what? Like I thought he pretended, you know what I mean? And that he just had really good studio. It turns out all the really good studio musicians he had were mostly him, because I mean, the albums where there's no band name on it, if it's just Prince, he played
He did
everything.
everything.
Yeah, drums, bass, guitar, even all the synth stuff. He's
Hey,
unreal.
we'll do one more.
Yeah,
Do you have strong feelings about placemats on the table?
no. Other than no one should have strong feelings about placemats on the table. I would say that is
Oh,
the
you're
strong feeling
triggering
I would
me.
have
I
about.
do. I
I'm not
do.
a
I grew up in
I'm
a
not
lot
an
of.
orderly person. I'm not
You're not
orderly.
an orderly
Uh
person.
No. I'm chaos. Yeah, I thrive in chaos. Yeah.
So,
Do you have placemats, Cole? The
on nice occasions, but I'm really intrigued by your strong feelings about it. I want to know more.
I think it's because I grew up with my mother. Like, if she saw a flat table with nothing on it, like that was not good. So,
Right.
you got to put magazines down or this sort of thing. And I eventually became triggered. Like, why the fuck do we got a placemat? I know where to sit. I know where it is. And
Oh, so
now, like,
you are anti placemat.
I am so anti. I want to take it.
Okay.
Like, I will accept a charger dish. I will. A charger dish. Like you put your plate on there. I will accept that. But the
Okay.
placemat, like, I just throw it in the fucking trash. Like, no, no placemats.
They are irritating, but yeah.
I'm gonna convert people. We don't need these sort of
Yeah.
things.
All right, let's do some nerdery, Nathan. You ready?
All right, yeah.
The nerdery. All right.
Do
We're gonna
some
start.
nerdery. How about the cost of knowledge, Cole? Does that sound good?
Sounds great.
Okay, this article examines the high price of academic journals' access to published research,
Mm-hmm.
specifically in the world of physics, economics, and electrical engineering. And it examines variability in journal prices and how it relates to citations and collaborations. Specifically, they have a database of articles from 2009 to 2018, and they analyzed effects of these prices on citation volume. And overall, the findings suggest that high prices significantly reduce article citations and collaboration efforts, so co-publishing. The impacts are most pronounced at low-tier institutions, and open access significantly boosts citation counts, and improved accessibility enhances knowledge dissemination. These are also field specific, whereas predominantly effects are in physics and economics, but could also be in psychological research if it were studied. But I get it. Whenever I see a paywall on an article, I was like, no, we're moving on.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm all for open access. I think the publishing companies are just ridiculous. I mean, we're the free labor for all the reviewing, and I don't know. I think what would be great is if I think if more journals just went to a fully online format and
Yeah,
did away with the whole thing. I think Scott Highhouse tried to do that, and so you see the problems that you would face getting away from the traditional thing through that, because I mean he just had to shut the journal down. It was Personnel Assessment and Decision. It was a great journal.
It was
Had a
great.
had a great board. I mean, I was so excited to be a part of it. Because I was. I don't think I was on the founding board, but I was. It was like very quickly after it was founded, and I mean, I remember the editorial he wrote about how we're a more mature science now. We don't need these like rambling or like 6-page introductions that
right. Absolutely.
start with literally like job satisfaction is a blah 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 blah, blah define it, and then why is it important, and and that we could probably you know the more mature a science become, the more it needs to do away with that, which I think is funny because it is like the more mature we become, the longer they get, and
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
and you go back and read those articles from like the 70s, and one of the things I really like about reading older articles and this is something I kind of wonder if we'll have to return to a little, and we're working on a paper now where we're facing this issue a little, which is that, now we're and I'm very much in favor of this, but expected to be a lot more forthcoming about like exactly how things went down as you're conducting the study, right?
Wait, just like deeper into the
Yeah.
methods, or
Well, no. Like being like, okay, well, we started off thinking this, and
This
then
is
this
like pre-registration type of stuff.
a little bit, but it's not even the pre-registration that is good or bad. It's that I think that's all good. The pre-registering, the registered reports, all that stuff. What we haven't adjusted are expectations about how things get written out. And so we have a paper right now where it's literally like we wanted, what are the dimensions of openness, right?
mm-hmm.
What's the hierarchical structure of openness? Okay, so we start off wondering that. And then we start to investigate that, and we realize a more interesting issue, and because we thought that would be a quick, boom, we're done
Yeah,
type study, right? And we had the analytic approach ready to go. We knew kind of, we had like a blueprint of other studies that have done it. And then what we realize is like, oh, okay, well, there's this one factor that is so narrow and da da da. And what we start to realize is that it's all items that are like, I'm smart. I mean, basically, it's just self-assessed intelligence type item. I'm a quick thinker. I know a lot of big words. Those
yeah.
types of things where you're like, it's just essentially bragging about how smart you are. And so what? But then, so then the question became, well, what if we take those words out, right? And so now the way that 10 years ago I would have done this is I would have just said, well, I mean, it doesn't really matter what order all this happened in, right? We'll just say we're starting off with looking at structure and wondering
Yeah.
whether or not these items belong, right? But now, we're not, and I think it's better that we not do that, to rearrange it so that the story flows nicely. But we're very concerned about like turning a paper in to a set of AEs and reviewers that expect papers to have this narrative literary flow that and those old articles from like the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, they don't have that narrative flow. I mean, they will say, and then we thought this, and then I thought, well, what about blah 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 blah, and then I talked to this person and they said and it's literally just so much more conversational, and there is not the citing to get away to citing
Citing cartels.
as the reason for what. No, not even that. I mean, I don't care about the like citing. I did this
Oh, and someone else had done it
with no,
before.
just like, yeah, just no
Yeah,
rationale, and because that was something, as a grad student, that was beat out of me very quickly, is like,
yeah.
never just say you did it because somebody else did it. That that's a cardinal sin. And so I do think that we've got to reevaluate that. But I do love the old articles. I feel like we could learn a lot from, because there's a lot of clarity of exposition, and it gave more freedom for an author to just tell you what actually happened. And now it's like there's this whole formula, especially if you go to a business school. They're going to
Tell
give
me,
you
tell
a
me what you think about this idea, Nathan, because I think I
yeah, yeah, yeah,
join you in this. It
yeah.
is, what if we just had the old articles, like the old style, and just
Hmm.
increase the sample sizes? Because if you look at them, the
That's
biggest
yes.
criticism of the old ones is they're just really, really small sample sizes. And then I think you fix a lot of stuff.
I think you would have to still be more. I mean, like for example, like I don't think we can go back to like articles that have three references, right?
Yeah,
Because
sure.
those folks were dealing with nothing. There was nothing to stand on. So I think other than that, though, I agree with you completely. Like that type of, Because here's the thing: what are
They're
people
actually readable.
Yeah.
Like they're really readable.
Yes, and that's what I was going to say is what are people gravitating toward now? They're gravitating toward people's blogs and stuff. They're not gravitating. They're gravitating away from journals and toward blogs. And I think especially if academics and IO want to stay relevant for practitioners, then that is the way to do it. Is like it's freely available. You don't have to adhere to this like I don't even and I would love to know and I guess it just was a slow process of just like where did it come from? This
Well, the
Well, the
what I
publishing
problem
view
process.
as an
with
what
the
I view as
cost
an
of knowledge,
awful formulaic way of writing.
the
I
problem with
think
the
it's
cost of
awful.
knowledge that Scott brought up that article is the most important research is the most expensive to access. And so why
Yes,
do
yeah,
people go to blogs is because I can hear from the same researcher who's doing the most important research, but I
yeah,
don't have to pay and it's readable. So it's like
yes,
a double whammy of like
yes,
I can actually access it in two
yeah,
ways. I can access it monetarily and in prose.
yeah. Well, and I think Paul Spector wrote
I was
a
going to bring
blog
that up
post.
earlier about how
Oh,
they
were
should
you
reform the
okay?
journals.
The
Yeah.
one about reviewers and the kind of crisis of reviewers,
Yep.
and one of the big things people were bringing up is like kind of like why are we going through 3-4 rounds of revisions and da da da. And
Absolutely.
I do think after that first round, right now there are exceptions, right? Like, and in fact, the JP we were to the Causal Attitude Network paper is an exception to this, where even on the second and third round, we're getting really meaningful, substantive comments that changed the paper and made it better. That made us go collect more data, made us, you know, really dig in on things we hadn't dug in on enough. I think that you that but I think that that's the exception, and that typically one round is enough. Especially when the article isn't doing something huge and it's clearly an incremental contribution, which is great. Most of science is incremental contribution, right? And I mean, even Einstein, he won, the reason he won the Nobel Prize was not for theory of general relativity. It was a more incremental contribution he made to kind of what ended up being like quantum mechanics, right? And so it's like, I do think that what ends up happening, the things for the most part in the second and third round that end up happening is them making your writing more formalized and
Hmm.
less readable is actually what's ending up happening. So I would love to see a return to where you could talk in the first person, even, you know what I mean? You
Yeah.
can say we did this, and and then like Carter or whichever author thought about this, and then we da, 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 and but we really have had a paper that should have been easy to write became very difficult to write just because we were trying to really do the right thing and say here's exactly how this went down, and not some semi fit because in the end I don't think it would have mattered that much in terms of just like the way we're what I mean, it's telling the story, right? Which I
We're
think is like a phrase we need to knock out of
we're going to need to speed up the
yeah,
publishing process, especially as
yeah,
technology becomes more and more rapidly available.
yes,
I get it. We need peer review,
yeah,
but I mean, with these articles come open after like what 10 years
yeah,
online. I mean, that's
yeah,
way too late. Way too late.
it's way too late. Yeah, a month is too late. And in
Exactly.
fact, one thing someone brought up on there was like, by the time you get through the review process, what you've done, especially in the AI and machine learning type
Oh,
space,
irrelevant.
it's already done. Everybody in AI and machine learning has moved on twice since you've submitted that article. So yeah, but yeah. But I think like a
Yeah.
lot of things, I don't think that this is unique to academia. I think it's, everything changes at such a rapid pace and we're not used to that as humans, I mean, and even one time I was talking to, my advisor, Mike Zicker, and I was kind of saying like, I'm just like done learning new programming languages. Like I'm just not doing it.
Yeah.
And he was like, you sound like me after, 20 years or what, and I was like, it is, do you know what, like the time scale was different, but the amount of change that happened from 2011 to 2020 is a lot bigger. Oh,
I got you. Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
sorry,
Yeah.
yeah, but is a lot bigger than the time than what happened from 1998 to 2008, right? It it just keeps getting faster and faster, and yeah, keeping up is hard. It's hard.
Well, Scott, do you want to do one more or you want to wrap up?
Let's do one more. We got one more in us.
All
What do you want to
right.
do?
Jesus
You
Christ.
want to do college consumption or zombie
Yeah,
release?
let's do that. Let's do that. Just because we're coming up on March Madness, and Nathan, you work at a big time basketball program, and you're a professor. This article examines the impact of college basketball consumption on student academic performance and future donor behavior. Not exactly sure where they focused in on that, but specifically attendance to big time events. So they have.
Are they in a business school?
I don't know. Let's see. What does it
Looks
say?
like Department of Economics.
Oh
Economics.
yes,
It's
so
definitely an economics user.
donors matter a lot. Yeah.
So they have data from a large public university with a highly ranked men's basketball team where season tickets are allotted via a lottery system, so they're high demand. On the overall findings are attending games slightly reduces academic performance, but with the most significant impact on low achieving students and in-state students. This effect is during the season and when the team plays in the postseason tournament. No significant impact on donor behavior, but they say that such events can impact higher education achievement with no impact on actually boosting giving gains. I mean, this makes sense. Like college is all about time management, right? You need to learn how to work
Yeah.
independently. You need to be able to balance studying and going to events, etc. I don't think
Right.
anyone's saying that you shouldn't ever engage in some sort of entertainment, but it definitely can impact you.
The assumption though is that you take the like if you take the college sport away, that it goes to academic endeavors, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I think people would just play more video games or whatever it is, I mean, how many people is college sports just an excuse to binge drink uh, and lightly riot?
Oh yeah, I mean, like, well, you got to
So
like pregame for the game, right? You got to do
yeah,
your
yeah,
drinking. You got to go to the game. You got
yep.
to do the post game. Got to go to the bar afterwards.
Well, to
During
me,
the
what's
week,
most to me what that all that I heard in those results is people who are already struggling shouldn't focus on other things.
See,
yeah,
my thought was the low performing student, they were going to the school for the sporting event, not for the school. Like,
Possibly, yeah. And also, of course, they are more affected by going to the games because they're the ones because the high performing people are doing just fine. And so they can afford to. So to me, it's a question of like, can you afford to take the time off and do something else, right?
time
Whether
management,
it's sports or not.
absolutely.
And I mean, I'm not a big, I don't pay attention to any sport at all, at all. And so, I like to watch college basketball, but I don't, I didn't grow up in a family that followed it that way. Part of it maybe is being from Kentucky where we have no professional sports teams. And, but,
Are there none? I guess there are none. Huh?
no. I mean, UK basketball is about
Yeah.
that's all you got really. And so no, well, now UK football is pretty good. But I mean, we didn't follow we didn't have our team. Like there was none of that. I mean, we watched games. I like watching, like I said, basketball, sports that move more quickly. I'm not a football fan, but but I guess I'm just saying that to say So I'm not just like defending college
Yeah.
sport. I'm not, and in fact, there are other reasons I would say I would love to see a separation between, there's been ideas floated, for example, of like, allowing the college, especially now that we're getting to the point where we're like, college. I mean, part of it, like, it's like NCAA, the whole thing of like the NBA doesn't take people straight out of high school and, all the, I mean, to me, the history of that has led to the point we're at, which is now, rightfully college players are now allowed to take endorsements and actually make money off of their name while they're hot,
Right. Well,
and they
the
should
university's
be able to
selling their
do that.
jersey in the
Right.
store.
But the question is, to me, whether or not that should even be a thing that is really affiliated with the university. And one idea that has been floated that I kind of liked is separating the two organizations fully, but then the university licenses out its name and image to the team,
So
right?
you
And
would have
so,
like a professional sports team associated
yeah,
with each
because what
university.
is it? Isn't it just becoming that?
It's
I
kind of like
mean,
that right now, right?
what is it now? Right? These kids are becoming millionaires while they're in college, and more power to them. But I do think it brings a lot of potential and probably already occurring conflict of interest into the university system, which I think is not healthy. So I have other reasons that I would say, but academic performance, I don't really buy the thrust of the article, and I didn't dig into the methodological details, but one question would be like, what's up with kids who aren't into sports, right? Do we
Well, I
see the
think that
same thing?
yeah,
Yeah,
where it said it's low achieving folks as well as in-state students, like
right.
that Cole mentioned, as far as like attending the
But by
school.
the way, isn't that just like also probably lower, like, what I mean, for
They're
real,
probably,
like,
yeah, as
you
opposed to
know,
like say exchange foreign
right.
students
And
that
people
would
who
have
come
no interest.
from out of state on and have like a scholarship to a, because the thing is, right, is like, I was an in-state college student. There's no shade being thrown here, but if you go in state, it's usually cost is the reason. And
Yes,
that
absolutely.
usually means that you didn't get some awesome scholarship to a better school out of state, right? Now, the exceptions are, I'm from Texas, I go to UT Austin. I'm from Michigan, I go to University of Michigan, right? And maybe I shouldn't have said that. but, but
It's like, what are you doing, man? You
Michigan
trying
State.
to dig your own grave?
I think we all know. I think we all know. I think look at the endowments, and I think we're good. But for real, people don't come to Michigan from out of state to go anywhere but the biggest school in Michigan. People don't
Absolutely.
go to Texas to go to college except to go to UT Austin. It's like they're sort of saying the same thing two different ways. Like, students who aren't necessarily,
Right.
I'm not saying they're bad students, but just that they're not like the best students that are going to be at the school. But yeah,
Cole's got mad basketball skills. I think he has 4 years of eligibility, so I'm looking forward to
nice.
him joining the team.
That's not true in any way. But Nathan, it's been fantastic having you on the pod.
Awesome.
Thanks so much for sharing some of your knowledge and wisdom. Before we give you the final word, Scott, any parting words for Nathan?
Nathan, man, thanks so much for coming on. How can folks reach out to you should they want to?
Email ntcarter@msu.edu. That's about it.
Just don't Google him. You won't
No,
find
Just
him.
don't
no,
Google him.
you will get someone else. It'll either be the running back or the Canadian singer. There's a Canadian singer named Nathan Carter. It's very popular, but
His Twitter handle is the real Nathan Carter for any of you who are looking.
they'll definitely pick up some good music from there.
Yeah. Well, you've been listening to Directionally Correct, People Analytics podcast with Cole and Scott, and today's guest, Dr. Nathan Carter. Thanks for joining us, Nathan.
Have a good one.
Hey guys, Directionally Correct is dedicated to you, our listeners, to help educate and entertain you on how to effectively do people analytics. By supporting this podcast, you are helping us continue to provide valuable insights and knowledge to our listeners. Please consider becoming a patron of the podcast. You can find the link to sign up in the show notes or at patron.podbean.com/directionallycorrect. Thanks for your support.